Another comet is racing directly into the sun, and it'll reach there October 28th. It's very likely that this comet may destruct as it gets extremely close to the sun. And the real question is, will this bring more big solar storms to Earth, just like the last comet did? And then the question is, what is the spiritual impact of this going to be on planet Earth? As always, question your reality, then change it. ThunderWizard.com is the website that supports this YouTube channel. I am dependent upon your support in order to keep this channel going. Go to the website, look at the various ways that you can subscribe to the channel and all of the things that you get from the various teachings. Go check out the shop if you want to have one-time video courses, including the Maoshan 5-element practices. We've got higher dimensional energy practices, personal mentorship, spiritual counseling, live Zoom group classes. The books can be found at michaelwilliamdenny.com. And please remember that every Wednesday and Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, today is Saturday, we do the live guided interdimensional meditations to bring 5D solar flash event. Quite possibly the most important thing that we can be doing. All right, so there's another comet that is racing directly to the sun, October 28th. And apparently this is a comet that nobody knew about. So I have to say that it's really starting to feel like we are on the exact opposite side of when Kali Yuga fell. And if you haven't already seen it, I'm sure you have. Taking a look at this here. So you have the 4 yugas. You have spiritual essence, which is Satya Yuga, which is people are 100% connected to the infinite. Human beings are living alongside deities and gods and higher dimensional beings and all of that kind of stuff. And then what ends up happening is we move further and further away from the supposed center of the universe, whatever that means. But the idea is that you get farther and farther away from the source, God, consciousness. So Satya Yuga is 100% connection. Treta Yuga is 75% connection. And then Dwapara Yuga is 50% connection. And then all the way down at the bottom, you see there, if you go clockwise, you're at Kali Yuga, which is 25% connection, meaning, at least 75% of the population is completely disconnected from anything spiritual. And then what ends up happening is that the cycle repeats and it goes in the opposite direction. So we have passed through Kali Yuga, which ended in AD 1700. People still think we're in Kali Yuga. Again, please look at Sri Yukteswar, his understanding of the yugas, as opposed to what most people have, which is a complete misunderstanding, which was actually calculated during Kali Yuga. So people made a mistake. No, the yugas don't last for millions upon millions of years. They last for 24 to 26,000 years. We are now in the rising, the ascending Dwapara Yuga. As you can experience, people are half and half. People are splitting, literally everything is splitting in half. So if you look at that red line there, up at the top, you'll see that Atlantis sunk approximately, according to Plato anyway, approximately 9,600 BC. And then directly opposite that is where we are right now. We're directly opposite that. So, and as you know, even if we don't look at Plato and Atlantis, all over the world, and I wouldn't have believed this if I hadn't found it to be true after doing basic research on it, is that all over the world, every culture has some myth about a huge cataclysm of flooding that wipes out almost everybody. And it is done because the gods have decided that human beings have become too corrupted and evil and destructive, and so the gods are wiping the slate clean. And in many of the cases, there are comets or other types of mythological symbolism that could very well mean comets. But we are pretty sure, the evidence is pretty overwhelming that 11,000 years ago, or excuse me, about 11,000 BC, which is what, like 13,000 years ago, there was some comets or fragments of comets that crashed into Earth. And at that time, we were in an ice age, and there was ice sheets anywhere between 1 and 2 miles thick, covering huge portions of the northern hemisphere. And so the evidence is very clear that there has been perhaps a comet that had broken up, perhaps after passing through the sun or passing around the sun, and hit Earth multiple times and melted, like flash melted, the ice sheets, which would have, anyway, it just massive devastation. So the point I'm trying to make is that there is this comet which is heading towards the sun. Now, we heard this, they're calling this, interestingly enough, they're also calling this comet Atlas as well. The first comet that we saw, and I showed you that, which was, this was, I don't know, whenever the last huge bunch of solar storms hit Earth, it was because this comet, which was Chant, also called Atlas, was heading, was in between the sun and the Earth, and when the comet got close to the sun exploded with all of these solar storms. So it's possible it could happen again, because this one that's coming, this new comet, which is also called Atlas, this new comet is heading, it's going to get very close to the sun. And so it might even get so close to the sun that it breaks up. In fact, I'll put a link in the description. The scientists are saying that this might be a fragment of a comet. Now, here's what I find interesting. The Chant Atlas comet, the first time I heard, was that this comet was orbiting the sun and shows up every 26,000 years. Now, I've heard since then, it's 80,000 years. Regardless of how many thousands of years it is, these are comets that are orbiting the sun, and they only show up, however long it takes, and however tens of thousands of years it takes for them to get here. So if in 11,000 BC, if there were comets that struck the Earth that were also perhaps going around the sun, if these comets that are now passing our planet and our sun, if these are fragments of the same comets that were coming to us then that caused this massive downfall, and again, the mythology is that human beings had gained tremendous spiritual as well as technological advancement, and there was a culture that was abusing this and became corrupted with power, and the gods, God, the universe, whatever, decided we're getting rid of this. And so the comets came crashing into the ice caps and created the Younger Dryas cataclysm. This coincides exactly with the myth of Atlantis sinking, and again, same idea, that these people they were very noble, very righteous. They were, in fact, they were superhuman. They were godlike. They were demigods. However you want to look at it. In Satya Yuga, according to the mythology, is like that human beings are interacting and living on the planet with elves and giants and beings from other dimensions and gods, and Zeus is coming down and mating with women, and that's the mythology. So in any case, human beings abused whatever power they had, and according to the mythology, the powers that be said, we gotta shut it off. So what if now we're now on the opposite side? Because again, this was the descending cycle. Satya Yuga was descending down eventually into Kali Yuga. And now we're on the direct opposite side of that. So we've exited Kali Yuga, we're in Dwapara Yuga, and now I think there's going to be a similar experience, but instead of a cataclysm, it's going to be an awakening, a mass awakening, and it could happen in one day. Like, this event could have happened within one day or over, very, very quickly. So perhaps we're going to have an event that will shift us up. It's okay with me if it's not an instantaneous thing. If it takes hundreds or thousands of years, who cares? But we're right on time for it. So what if those same comets or fragments of comets that hit Earth right there in the Younger Dryas cataclysm, they're back? If they're orbiting around the sun every 26,000 years, then they're heading right back. They're right on schedule. And we've already seen one of them. And interestingly, they're called Atlas because Atlas was the name of the first king of Atlantis. So I find it very interesting that they're calling them that, because this is maybe the rise of the new Atlantis, which who knows how it'll look. It'll be very different. If I have anything to contribute to it, it's going to be the opposite of the other Atlantis, in that there isn't going to be spiritual technology. In other words, as I understand the mythology, the rulers of Atlantis who were controlling the whole world, they had access to very powerful spiritual technology. Same kind of technology that you guys are using if you're doing the 5-element Maoshan practices, if you're doing mantra, powerful meditations. These people had spiritual technologies far beyond anything we can imagine with their mind. I mean, I believe that the pyramids were built with meditative powers, with the powers of frequency and vibration, with perhaps voice, maybe with other technology. There's other technology that is found, I forget what it's called. There's some kind of a disc that somebody saw, this really strange looking disc. It looks like some kind of a weird frisbee flying saucer kind of a thing, about the size of a hubcap. And there's a hole in the middle of it. If I had a picture of it, I'd show you. And so somebody looked at it, took pictures of it, measurements, and then created one and put it on this, there was a hole in it, and put a stick through it, and then hung it out there, and then blasted different frequencies at it. And it started moving around and creating this toroidal field. So I think this is the kind of technology that created the pyramids. Again, I believe that the pyramids were giant capacitors. I don't know if I'm using the right word. Giant transmitters that used all kinds of things, water and sound and earth energy and all of that, and who knows whatever else. But it was designed to create an energy field that would surround Earth, that would shift the energy and keep it at the level of Satya Yuga. And I believe that there was a catastrophe because the frequency of the planet, because it's moving away, as it moves away from in Satya Yuga, it moves towards Treta Yuga. It's moving away from the center of the galaxy, or the center, whatever it is. There's something that our planet and our galaxy gets close to, which then gives us the ability to connect with very high spiritual frequencies. And it's a cycle, and then the planet and the galaxy moves further away from that, and the frequency begins to drop. So it was artificially done, and because it was artificial, meaning it wasn't part of the natural evolution of things, it ended up breaking. And when it broke, there was a huge catastrophe that happened, and I believe that happened in concert, or perhaps as a direct result of these comets flying by the sun and perhaps getting broken up and then smashing into Earth. So I think that's where we're at. So you get that. We're on the opposite side of that. So what I've done is I have taken a rune reading. I haven't analyzed it yet. I'm going to do that with you now. So we're going to analyze this rune reading. And my question is, where are we at? What is happening spiritually? Now, this is my big question. If you've been watching the channel, I have been as transparent as I possibly can in sharing with you my journey. You know, if you've been watching the channel, you know what's been going on with me for the past couple of years. You know all the crazy, fantastical things that I have experienced. I've been shown, I've been told from extraterrestrial, higher dimensional beings. And I was told, as you know, or I wasn't told. What I was shown was that something was going to happen on October 6th that was going to be meaningful. As well as I was told a bunch of other things about things are going to massively shift. There's going to be huge change. I've connected with a higher dimensional version of this earth, which is an absolute total Disneyland for the soul. It's just unbelievable. And, I've been very interested to get there physically. I mean, if I could snap my fingers and go there, without question, I would. I would leave this earth and go there instantaneously. So I knew something was going to happen on the 6th that had to do with this awakening. And as you know, I made myself completely, totally ready to leave this earth thinking that the solar flash might come. Well, it didn't. The solar flash, in terms of an instantaneous event, that did not happen on the 6th, as you well know, because you're here talking with me. But something happened. And I also knew that on the 12th of October, that this comet was going to no longer be between the sun and the earth. It would exit that conjunction. And I had this absolute sure feeling, and I still do, that from the 6th to the 12th was a demarcation point of worlds, a shifting. And on the 12th, as it so happened, I got hit with the most powerful energy I've ever got hit with. It was deliberate. I don't know if it was ETs or light beings or whoever came to me and said, we're going to give you, a whole huge load of energy. It's going to be nothing you've ever felt before. You're going to need to hang on. It's going to be intense. They've said that kind of stuff before, so I didn't pay a lot of attention. But when I got hit with that energy, it was the most intense thing I've ever felt. I thought I was going to die for a moment there. I didn't know what was going on. I'm grateful that it happened. Don't get me wrong. I would do it again now that I know what it is, because it was a huge energy upgrade, and my root chakra was empowered, because I was having a hard time staying on this planet. I was really, really struggling. I was just in and out, and I just didn't feel connected to anything. I felt, I wasn't doing so good. So this grounded me, and they helped me with that. But I think it was also significant because it happened on the day that this comet was exiting its conjunction with the sun. And I don't know if you've gone out and looked at it. I haven't, but I As I understand it, when the sun is setting, you can go out and see this comet as it's exiting our solar system. So something is up. Something is happening. The energy that has been hitting me is on a frequency that is very challenging for me. Now, not everybody's experiencing it. A lot of people are. But here are some of the things that everybody's experiencing. Some of the things. And maybe you have something different or one or more of these, but here are some general things that a lot of people are experiencing. One is this feeling that something huge is coming. Something like end of the world, some impending doom or change or something is coming. People are doing things like they're waking up and feeling like they're in a new world. I've been having where I'll wake up and there will just be huge amounts of energy. From the moment I open my eyes, my whole body will be tingling, which isn't unusual, but there will be this energy and this discomfort. It's more than anxiety. It's just this discomfort and this discontent. And then feelings of being isolated, alone. People are having feelings of being abandoned, betrayed, feelings that the universe has betrayed them. A lot of people will start having these feelings towards people important in their life. They will want to destroy relationships. I've had more than one person has come to me saying that they want to end their connection to me, and then they either change their mind during the conversation or before they get to talk to me, they change their mind. I'm having these same kinds of experiences. I'm having dreams where I'm completely totally ending. Like I had one dream was like that, where I had, confronted somebody I've known for a very long time and confronted them about how they've been betraying me. And I woke up completely like, I'm going to get on the phone and I'm going to and I went, wait, that was a dream. That didn't really happen. So I didn't pick up the phone and do that. So there's just this feeling of ending and changing. And I think a lot of it has to do with we are splitting. We're going in two different directions. And this is indicative of people choosing. So you can either choose to backslide back into the 3D, or you can choose to drop your connection to Earth altogether and go forward. I listen. I won't lie to you. I can't see any point in staying in this 3D world knowing what I know, and it takes everything I have in me to plan ahead. And the only reason I'm planning ahead is because I'm not in one, stable living place. I had to leave the place I was at for a couple of weeks because the landlord uses it. It's Florida, uses it for vacations, and I'm in a rental for a couple of weeks, and then I'm going back there, and then at the end of the year I have to leave again. And so I have to think forward because otherwise I won't have a place to live. But if it weren't for that, I wouldn't be thinking beyond from one day to the next. I mean, it takes almost everything I have in me to come in here and put videos together. So if you're feeling all of that, you're not alone. And I think it's not happening out of nowhere. The other thing to know is that you might think you're all alone in this. You might think that you're going crazy and you're just having some kind of meltdown, but it's happening everywhere. And the themes are the same. Of wanting to leave this world behind, wanting to leave behind all of the relationships and the life choices and life paths that don't function, that don't work. Again, feeling frustrated, betrayed, anxious, depressed, either wanting to hide or wanting to escape or wanting to leave or, whatever. Those kinds of feelings. A lot of people are having those. And it saddens me because at least I have an idea of what's happening. I mean, I know, the light beings have told me generally what is going on. So at least I have that to hang on to. If you're watching this channel and you're following me and you're doing this work, at the very least you hear me say it, and at least you have something to hang on to. You're not making this up. You're not crazy. But I hear about, people that aren't connected and don't know about any of this, and they're just acting completely crazy, or there are people out there that are just smoking weed all day and can't get out of bed, or they've gone so far in the other direction that they're obsessed with materials, success, and all that stuff. So it's a big split, and it means we're going to be splitting within ourselves. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. In any case, let's take a look at this rune reading here. So again, the question is, what's happening? I really want to know from the light beings, what is going on with this world? Where are we at? So here's the rune reading. All right, so this is a 9-world rune reading, according to my ancestors, the ancient Germanic people, that the universe was made up of 9 worlds, 9 dimensions. And so we've got a rune reading for all 9 of them. So in the center is our experience. That would be Midgard, Middle Earth. That's your physical body, your physical experience. And here we have the rune Manaj reversed. So that would mean not being connected to the mind, the meditative mind. So people are losing their mind. I know I have. I mean, the stuff that's gone through my head. I mean, I wanted to, I didn't, but a couple nights ago, as I'm in this rental, I'm in this neighborhood, and it's kind of a, trailer trashy neighborhood. And so the people out there drinking and partying and making a lot of noise, and I don't do well with that. And it took everything in me not to go over there and cause a huge scene. And I was just going to, explode on them. I wanted to. No, I didn't. I followed my own teaching, and I did the opposite of what my destructive impulses wanted me to do. And I stayed in a meditative state, and I did things to be comfortable, and I got through it, and I'm much happier now. But that's what's happening. That center rune, people are not connected to their meditative mind because of what's happening. We go up to the center rune at the top. This is what is coming, and this is the home of the waters, Niflheim. So in Niflheim, this is what has not manifest yet, but is manifesting, and so that's what's coming. And that we have Tiwaj. So Tiwaj represents victory, but spiritually it means the highest awareness, which happens to be the crown chakra, energy coming up to a point here, like a T. So this means spiritual awareness. So right now we're not very spiritually aware, we're not connected to our mind, but what's coming very soon is the highest of spiritual awareness. We go clockwise up to the top right. This is Asgard, the home or the fortress of the celestial gods. And here we have Elhaj, which is the rune of shamanic power. So this represents what we are looking forward to, as we're looking into the future, or what the intention of the energy is. In this case, what's happening in the world, what it's looking towards is shamanic power, which also is a protective energy. And it has a lot to do with the energy of the body. It's a shaman with his arms raised up to the sky, where he's getting the power of heaven and earth. So it has all of those. It's a very a lot of different connotations coming from that. So that is where the energy is looking forward to in the future. We go clockwise again down to the middle right, and we see Ingvaj. Now this is the realm of the giants, which has to do with the ego. So this means our identity. There's nothing wrong with an ego. the Greeks had a good representation for destructive giants. They were the Cyclopses. They had only one eye, which means narcissism, self-absorption, complete lack of empathy, lack of, they're sociopaths, they're psychopaths. So those are the kinds of giants that Thor goes out and fights. And Thor is in the East as well, and Thor is half giant, half deity, which represents, the physical impulses that are aligned with the highest principles. So this gives him tremendous power, the power of lightning, and he is the one that's always off fighting and destroying the evil Thyrses or the Cyclopses. So here we have Ingvaj, which represents our state of just, we're in stasis. Now it's not completely, frozen stasis. It's like an egg. There's something that's growing in there that's going to hatch, but right now it's an egg. You look at it, you can't see anything. And it means to just stay in place. So right now our identities are in stasis. We're not really sure one way or another. We're looking very inward, but something is going to be birthed out of this. And then you go to the bottom right. That is the realm of the dwarves, which represents the subconscious. Now remember, there's subconscious and unconscious. These are two different things. So the subconscious, you have access to it. For instance, if I ask you what is your social security number, what is your address, your telephone number, you can rattle that off without thinking twice about it. But you're not walking around thinking about it. You could go months without ever thinking about it. And that doesn't mean that it's not available to you, but it's not running around in your conscious mind. It's in your subconscious. So the subconscious, at least the way that I teach it, has a lot to do with the third eye projection. So you can project your subconscious intentions. And here what we have is revolution. We have Yuhwaj, which is the rune of dynamic transformation. So there's two kinds of transformation. There's conscious, deliberate transformation, which is Hagalaj, which is healing. Self-initiated transformation. You look at yourself, you analyze yourself, I want to heal. And so it's self-transformation on an acceptable level because you've chosen to do it, you're in control of it. Yuhwaj is it's not something that you chose. It happens to you whether you like it or not. And so this is shamanic transformation. Shamans, when they go through their various transformations, oftentimes they will, die and resurrect. Literally, sometimes they'll die, go to the other world, come back, and when they come back, they have powers and knowledge they didn't have. They'll become very sick, or their lives will completely fall apart. They won't be able to function. And then when they come back from that, they have all of these powers and knowledge, and they're not necessarily human anymore. Now they're connected to the spirit realm. So this is the kind of transformation that we are subconsciously intending. So that's a big deal. I mean, the world wants to transform. So that's an interesting placement of that room. So we go down clockwise again to the bottom center. This is the home of the fire, which has to do with actions. So this is either what actions we are taking or actions we should be taking. And here we have the rune Isa, which has to do with the self. It has to do with the identity. And so it means that this is our focus. Our action right now is to focus on our true identity, not on the false identity that is being, that we have allowed ourselves to be programmed into throughout this entire past however many thousands of years, but certainly the last 2,000. So our focus should be on our identity. And then moving clockwise again to the bottom left, this is the realm of the underworld. And here we have Perthro. Perthro has to do with your destiny, your karmic destiny. So the unconscious mind is in the underworld. So it means that the unconscious mind is, in fact, being successfully reprogrammed. We are successfully focusing on our true destiny. So this is a destiny that could be awakening, or true destiny. This is that, whatever's in this bottom left placement really kind of has all the power in the reading. And if you have a reversed rune, it means that the person really has no conscious control over what's happening or where they're going. So when you have something this powerful, the rune of destiny, Perthro, the rune of karma, dharma, the true path going forward. When this is in the unconscious mind, then that means all of the engines are pointing in the right direction, and this is what will come. So this is a very positive reading so far. Continuing clockwise, we go up to the middle left, and this is the realm of the Vanir. Vanir are the gods of the earth, of space-time. The Aesir are the gods of the celestial gods, the gods of the heavens. So they're not part of three-dimensional space-time. That's why they fight with the gods of space-time, the Vanir. So the Vanir have to do with living on the planet and magic and love and procreation and beauty and all of those things, the enjoyment of this reality and the gods that are in control of that. And here we have the rune Kenaj, and it represents our relationship. So the rune on the middle right is our relationship to ourself, our ego, our identity. The rune on the left middle is our relationship to others. So what's happening is knowledge. Knowledge, Kenaz is knowledge. Knowledge is coming to our relationships. So that means all of the things that have been hidden about our community, our interaction, knowledge is coming. We are becoming aware. We're becoming consciously aware of what is really going on. And I would say that's definitely accurate. Moving again clockwise, we're now up to the top left. This is the realm of the elves, the shining ones, the light beings. And so this is what the light beings are saying is happening or needs to happen. And here we have the rune Raito, which is the path of the sun. And it has to do with following the true path, following spiritual order. And so they're saying that everything is now following a spiritual order. So we only have one reversed rune, which is in the center, which is our experience. So the good news is that consciously, we are consciously struggling. But it's good to know that unconsciously we're not. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't tremendous turmoil, because when your conscious mind is in conflict with your unconscious mind, you are going to feel a lot of disharmony. Now, the good news is that it's not the other way around, because normally when things are really bad, let's say the rune in the center would be upright, whatever it was, and that would mean that consciously somebody was thinking of something good, wealth, happiness, joy, peace, whatever. That's what they consciously want, and this is the human condition. People consciously want to be healthy, they want to be prosperous, they want to be spiritual, all of that. But if their unconscious is in fear, corruption, selfishness, then what you have is religious people. And praise God. I'm just so happy. God is so good. We have such a good God, don't we? But inside they're terrified, and they're cheating on their wives, they're stealing, they're, doing drugs or whatever. They're not at all what they present themselves to be. That's if you're consciously thinking something good and unconsciously something horrible is going on. We've got the opposite. Consciously, you're losing your mind. The world is losing its mind, which is good because its mind needs to be replaced. But unconsciously, everybody, if they get quiet and listen, they know what the truth is. It may be very hard to accept. And this is huge. Speaking for myself personally, for the past 2.5 years, light beings have been showing me and telling me things that are absolutely unbelievable, beyond unbelievable, and things that cannot possibly be accurate within our third dimensional reality. And just one, if you haven't heard it, I mean, somebody left me an interesting message, and I thought I left them a really good response, but I won't get into that. Somebody was pointing out how delusional I was, because as you know, if you're following my channel, what the light beings have told me is that I was the emperor of the entire earth, and I was in Atlantis, and I'm responsible for things like the pyramids, because I told you what the pyramids were meant to do, and a bunch of other things that haven't been, uncovered yet, that will be discovered and uncovered about all over the world. There's all kinds of things that do things similar to the pyramids that use vibration to create a global frequency. And I was doing that with the intention of saving humanity from falling. And the Pleiadians, and again, this is absolutely unbelievable. If you think that I say this and it doesn't sound absolutely ridiculous, trust me, it does. It sounds as ridiculous to me as it does to you. But that was my experience, is that beings were there, and they were telling me that they were Pleiadians and that they were my advisors, and they helped me to create all of this technology. They advised against my plan, which was to create that, that artificial frequency to keep the world from going into Kali Yuga, and they advised me against it, and it ended up failing. And apparently in the process, as we started moving further and further away from the center, and I became more and more obsessed with creating this, keeping us in Satya Yuga, apparently I became very lost, and I did things like started wars with people who were trying to rebel against what I was doing, and so apparently I made some very huge mistakes. Now, again, people understandably are saying you're bonkers. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. This reading right here, mentally, it doesn't compute. My understanding of people who are delusional is that they're very consciously and emotionally attached, and they're right and everybody else is wrong, and their ego gets bent out of shape if you don't agree with them. But I don't see this. It doesn't make any conscious sense to me. But spiritually, my unconscious mind and my spirit is absolutely remembering these things to be true. I'm awakening to these past lives and coming to the knowledge that the earth 13,000 years ago was very different, in that literally human beings walked the planet with gods. And that some human beings were multi-dimensional. They were physical, and yet they were gods at the same time, walking around on the earth. And I apparently was one of those beings. And that's not something that's, maybe Lord of the Rings or, some other strange fantasy cool book that you read, but that's not, that's just something we enjoy psychologically. But what I've found out is that outside of the third dimension, all of those fantasies are real, literal, physical reality. That we're the ones living in the shadow dream that's unreal. So that's where we're at, and so that's why the mind here, manaj, is flipped. It's the mind is flipping out, literally flipping out, because the unconscious mind is saying, so yeah, all that stuff is real, and now we have to start moving towards that. So I think that's where we're headed with the yugas. We're headed back towards that, and I believe that this is the defining moment. The Younger Dryas period was when everything fell apart. And now we've got the opposite going on, where we're going to shift up, perhaps very fast, perhaps, instantaneously. And we will now move towards Satya Yuga. And it'll be a rising of consciousness as opposed to a falling of consciousness. And, you'll find out your crazy, unbelievable truth about yourself and what your role might have been during all of that time. And, I get to now, I've been, again, I don't need to be right about this. This may never happen. But if it does, at least I know it's coming. According to light beings, I'm still king of Earth, and I'm responsible for bringing it back into a state of balance. And so that is what, by the way, what we are doing in these live guided interdimensional meditations. I thought that these meditations were going to go viral. I thought, oh, that's what I'm here to do. Well, they're not, as of yet. Maybe they will, but they're not yet. But I still believe, in fact, I'm quite convinced of it, that what we're doing in those meditations is completely changing and shifting the world. So I'm doing the opposite of what I did. And at the same time, I'm doing the same thing. I inadvertently destroyed the world while I was trying to save it. And now I want to save the world, but in order to do that, I have to destroy it. And the way I'm doing that is we did it through the Huar breath. And at the moment, we're doing it through the Hul breath and the Thung mantra, and we are destroying the old consensus so that the new one can be created. So once again, I'm destroying the world, but I'm doing it in the right way. And the opposite. Last time I was probably the most well-known person in civilization, if I really was the king of the entire earth. All of the civilizations would have known who I was. I would have been like the most famous person on the planet. And now nobody knows who I am. I mean, I can't even get more than 20 people, 30 people to show up for these live guided meditations. And no matter how hard I try, my channel won't go viral. So I'm on the opposite side. Nobody knows who the hell I am. But apparently I and those of you who are doing this with me, we are literally the most powerful people on earth right now. Not because we have money. I mean, I have to, rent tiny little trailer houses, because I can't afford anything more than that. And luckily my other house is inexpensive, but it's an actual house. So I'm not rich, I'm not famous, I'm not influential, nobody knows who the hell I am. But apparently, according to the light beings, I'm the most powerful being focused on earth with these mantras. And you are also, if you're doing it with me. But nobody knows who I am. Opposite of before. Everybody knew who I was, but I was destroying the earth. I was disempowering everybody, trying to help them. Now, nobody knows who the hell I am. I have no power physically on this third dimensional plane, but on the astral plane, I'm destroying this world so that it can actually be healed and actually rise up. So that's my craziness. That's the craziness that's going on with me, why my Manaj rune is flipped. And again, I'm not attached to any of this. I don't need for any of it to be true. I'm just being honest with you about what I have experienced and what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing. And yeah, there it is. So that's it. So I hope you can show up tonight. Again, we are having live guided we want to get rid of this. We're having live guided interdimensional meditation at 8:30 I hope you'll show up. If not, you can, of course, catch the archived recorded versions. Just click on um, the live menu on my YouTube channel, and you can see all of the previous ones. So there it is, my friends. I wish you all the best. I hope, I don't even know what the hell I just said, but hopefully it helped you. I'm done saying it. And I'll see you guys later tonight. Please know that how incredibly important you are, how valuable you are, how powerful you are. And that there is literally nothing you can do that will make you more lovable than you are at this moment, simply because you exist. So go deep within and experience your own existence. I may be sharing a meditation soon about basically how to become God. I've come up with some ideas that I'm feeling a lot of energy about, which has to do with the Egyptian god Atum, Atum Ra, the original god of the Egyptian pantheon, and it's very interesting. And so I've been meditating on different aspects of him, and I've been feeling a lot of power. So when I get that consolidated, I'll share it with you. Maybe I'll put it in the shop. Who knows? All right, that's it, my friends. Again, I really do need your support, so please go to thunderwizard.com. Subscribing for free is a nice gesture, but it gets you nothing, and it gets me nothing. But if you subscribe at any of the other levels, you will get access to the most powerful teachings we have seen on the planet. And of course, the shop has other things. You can go and get video courses like the 5-element spirit fighting, which people are now really starting to be able to align with. Before, they were too powerful for the average person, but now the average person is starting to feel it because we're shifting up. So go check out thunderwizard.com, support the channel. I'll see you tonight at 8:30 Eastern time. Please take very good care of yourselves. Thank you so much. I love you all, and I'll see you all very soon.